To get started, I'm just going to focus on proportion. I'm just checking the height of the hand and the fingers, and I notice that they're about the same. Palm and fingers are the same height. Just kind of mapping everything out. So that's the palm, and then that high point represents the highest finger, which would be the middle finger. All right, I noticed that there's an arch in the line of the knuckles. I noticed that there's a diagonal for this side of the hand, and kind of another diagonal for the other side, which kind of results in this upside down kind of trapezoid shape. All right, I'm just kind of getting my index finger in, that's the side of it, getting the pinky in, not really paying too much attention to the height right now. I'll take care of that just a little bit later. Getting in those finger bones, the ones that kind of lie underneath the skin there. I'm trying to keep a pretty even distance between them. And notice I kind of have them fanning out a little bit. I don't have them just going straight up and down. All right, then I'm going to carry that one line all the way up to the top there. That's going to represent the middle finger. And then if you notice, the index finger and the middle finger are about the same height, and they're just a little bit shorter than that middle finger there. So I'm going to keep them at the same height, and I'm just going to carry those ham bones up to that mark there, and those are going to represent the middle and index finger. And I noticed that there's about roughly 3 even sections in each finger between each knuckle, so I'm just dividing each finger into about 3 even sections roughly with respect to their height. Middle finger. And here's the ring finger. And now that I have the knuckles for the ring finger, I can get the pinky in there. And I notice that the pinky is just about at the height of the top knuckle on the ring finger. So that's why I was able to kind of bring in the height of the pinky and divide that into 3 even sections. Okay, now I'm going to start kind of creating the shapes of the fingers. And all I'm doing is breaking it down into basic shape. I see that first section of the index finger is about an oval, and then I got that first knuckle there. It's just a little bit wider than that oval, so I made it just a little wider. Then that widest part of the finger is that second knuckle, so I'm making it the widest point. And then I'm adding that one knuckle that connects the finger to the hand. I made it pop out just a little bit, as I see it kind of doing in the picture. And then the spaces between the knuckles, in between the middle and bottom space, those are kind of concaving a little bit, so that's why I just kind of have them turning inward a little bit. Kind of connecting everything. Going to the middle finger. Okay, go for the top part. Again, shape, it's about an oval. And I go for those knuckles. I see the widest knuckle is that middle one there, so I made that wider than that top part. I'm throwing that bottom knuckle in there. I also see that these 2 sections here, much like the pointer finger, are kind of concaving a little bit, so I made them turn inward ever so slightly. Okay, first section, ring finger, oval again. I see that that one knuckle's kind of popping out a little bit. That other knuckle is the widest part, so I made it the biggest circle. I was going for that knuckle on the bottom there. Connect everything, a little bit of concaving sections here. And now I'm going for that pinky. Again, top part, it's kind of oval shaped. It is kind of turning to the side slightly. There is a little bit of a curve in it. I don't really see the knuckles in this one sticking out too much. I see this finger is pretty consistent. There's not really a lot of wide points to it. All kind of remains the same width going all the way down. But I am kind of getting those knuckles in there just so I know where the bending points are when I go to connect everything. And I can still kind of keep it a little more round. So now that I have those other fingers in there, I kind of get the thumb in, and the first thing that I see is that the thumb, like the base of it, kind of that basic shape there, level of it kind of lines up with about the middle of the palm there, so that's why I divided the palm in half. And I see it's kind of like, about like this teardrop kind of oval shape. So I make it stick out a little bit. Then for the length of the finger, if I were to make a pinpoint at the very bottom of the thumb where it meets the wrist, and then carry an imaginary line up to the, just slightly below the middle knuckle of the index finger, that would be equal to the height of the thumb. So if I kind of lock my fingers in place and kind of carry them out on a diagonal, then I can kind of create that line that would represent the line for the thumb. And like the other fingers, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to divide that into roughly 3 even sections and start to find basic shapes. So I can see that those knuckles are kind of sticking out a little bit, so that's why I'm adding those first. And then the top part of the thumb, it's kind of not quite an oval, it's kind of like this weird bean shape, or if you want to think about it like a crescent or kind of a teardrop shape, I think that's a really good first shape to do. Then the middle one there, I see that one's kind of this rectangular shape. It is a little concave on one side. And then the bottom part on the outside, it is slightly concave, and that's just kind of how I attached it. Then the wrist, I see that one wrist bone kind of sticking out there a little bit. And then the other one is just slightly lower. I made that one stick out just a little bit too. So I connect it, keep it sticking out. And then I have the direction for the actual arm there, and that's kind of on a slight diagonal. The fingernails, what I see is that the bottom parts of them are usually rounder, whereas the top part of the fingernails are a little bit wider, and they're also a little bit more rigid. Bottom part of the nails also lines up with about the middle of the top part of the fingernails in each spot. And when I go to draw them, I'm keeping a little bit of space between the nail and the sides of the finger. I'm not making them too wide or too narrow, it's just a little bit of space. I'm also remembering that they are going to be wider on top and narrower on the bottom. In this particular example, also a little bit of fingernail extending past the nail bed. Okay, then for the thumbnail, I'm kind of seeing that the bottom part of it also lines up with about the middle portion of that top part of the finger there, just like the others. And for the shape of it, you don't want to make it an oval. You also kind of want to make this one kind of like a crescent or a half oval. Great, then at this part, that means we've concluded all the basic shapes, so we can kind of go through and do a little bit of connecting, just a little bit of finessing to make sure that we really got that hand right. If you made any mistakes or something doesn't look right, this is the part where you want to go back in and you want to make any adjustments before you finalize it and you solidify it. Whether it's you need to make some parts of the fingers a little wider or a little narrower, or you need to adjust the fingernails or the height of some things, this is a time that you for sure want to do it if you didn't do it already. So in my video, I'm kind of just going through, and something else that I'm doing is adding those details there where the fingers kind of connect to the hands, those diagonals. And then I'm going in and I'm adding some of the webbing too, just some of those last minute details that I didn't get to before. This is another good time to kind of do that. I'm adding a few more connections to the thumb here. Also, I see that little line kind of going downward between the thumb and the side of the hand there. I'm kind of making the sides of the hand look a little bit more organic. The whole thing just look like a little bit more organic, less robotic. Yeah, doing a little more connecting here too at the wrist. And then I think I'm happy with everything. So I'm going to use my eraser, and I'm just going to go back through, and I'm going to go through and erase everything, get rid of all of my lines. Please make sure that you are totally happy with the way everything looks before you go to this step. After this point, it's very hard to kind of turn back. And you're just going to keep doing this until you are left with a hand shape that looks most natural and most like the picture or your reference that you are working with. So that concludes this demo. I hope you enjoyed it. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I really look forward to seeing what you all create in your own time.